start by asking you about the return of Donald Trump to the White House. So he called PM Modi his close friend, yet he calls India an abuser in trade relationship. So what is he trying to indicate to India in terms of the trade relationship?
Well, do understand that this leader is keen on America first. Kind of people he has picked, most of them look like aligned to the thought process of Christian nationalism, white Christian nationalism.
So do you think the NRIs working in the software industry would be affected by his immigration plans?
Certainly, because once the illegals are rounded up and taken out, the next step is going to be legal migration.
Hello everyone. Today I'm excited to have Dr. Ankit Shah. He's one of India's leading political commentators and predictor of major events. So, Dr. Shah, finally nice to have you on. Thank you for your time and welcome.
जी, धन्यवाद बुलाने के लिए धन्यवाद.
So, Dr. Shah, I would like to start by asking you about the return of Donald Trump to the White House. He called PM Modi his close friend, yet he calls India an abuser in trade relationship. So, what is he trying to indicate to India in terms of the trade relationship?
Well, do understand that this leader is keen on America first. So he is not shy about going abrupt about making decisions and you know playing at the front foot in terms of bargaining benefits for the American citizens. So he can do that both very well. So he can say that India is a good partner, and on the other side, he can also play the tariff stuff and things like that. So you have to be ready for this tumultuous ride. Not just India, but all the nations will have to bear the brunt of, you know, an uncoordinated, uncharted territory of relations with the United States. So this was true even in the first term that he had, but at least in the first term, he did not have a dedicated team which believed in his vision and his plans. So a lot of the things during the first term did not get implemented. So he just kept on saying things. People around him just said, yes, sir, and nothing got implemented. And as soon as he used to catch people that they are not doing what he is telling them to do, he would fire those people. So the entire 4 year period got wasted into hiring and firing people. Now, this time, I think he has changed his strategy. It looks like he has collected a gang of people who are, in alliance with his vision of what America should be, and he's going to sidestep and let them play out a lot of decision making internally. And this looks like he has given an overall stamp of authority to whatever decisions the selected few take. As of now, this is what it looks like from the top. Now, you got to understand the kind of people he has picked. Most of them look like aligned to the thought process of Christian nationalism, white Christian nationalism. Okay. So the decisions are going to reflect those kind of attitude and that kind of effect on ground for um, other citizens. Okay. Besides the point, they are totally aware of all the problems of the American economy that I've been saying for the last 3 years, as you know, that this is a de-dollarization process where they cannot now anymore afford such rich lifestyle. The other countries are not ready to sponsor by doing trade in the US dollar.
Yes.
So Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, this entire team understands that the world does not want to sponsor, which means that the citizens will have to work hard for building America back. Okay. So the endless printing machine is going to stop, which means that they have to make all uh, solutions at home first. So, to my understanding, they have to focus internally. which is why you heard that specific word which Jaishankar ji used. He said isolationism, right? So it looks like that he's going to take some abrupt decisions as soon as he comes to office. And it's like they understand all the illnesses which the economy faces, and they want to right away give the solution to it even before the crisis begins. So uh, I'm not surprised at the kind of tweets Elon Musk is making and how Vivek Ramaswamy is going about explaining why those abrupt decisions are required. Okay, so but to believe that they are going to be real partners to any other countries, I think that would be a wrong way to interpret this team. They are only about America, and that too only for white Christian nationalism. Okay, so I see the first rounding up will be for the illegals, and they will then go after legal citizens as well who are, um, a kind of posing a competition to the white native citizens within the country in terms of cream jobs or whatever that you call it. So the first round is illegals, and then legal migration as well will be targeted very soon.
So I'll come to Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Doge in the later part of our conversation. But I wanted to ask you, since a lot of legal Indian NRIs in the US work in the services sector, and a lot of India's major exports to the US are in the services sector as well. So how do you think Trump's threat of tariffs will affect these major sources of employment for Indians?
Well, I think he's the team would moderate down their words or actions in terms of India at the start, because you can't be targeting China and India both together, right? So their priority will be decoupling with the Chinese, which means that uh, even if some impact comes to the Indian exports, I believe this will be more because of the depreciation of the currency that will happen later for the US dollar, rather than directly, a direct threat of canceling out the trade. So the first priority is going to be Chinese decoupling, which means that you can take some benefit out of it during that negotiations about maybe a free trade agreement, which India is pushing so hard for so long. So if you are able to accommodate a portion of IT contracts in the free trade agreement, maybe your businesses would have a lesser shock during this next 3 4 years. Besides that, the other exports are certainly going to be impacted because the currency, as dollars purchasing power itself, will begin depreciating. They will have to if they want to manufacture home. So I believe that uh, as far as India is concerned, we are in a better position compared to any other nations because we still do have some bargaining power with them rather than the Chinese or the European allies, so to speak. I mean, if you look at UK and France and Germany and Canada and Australia, they directly get orders. So you do understand that it's going to be very difficult for the NATO allies and the European Union in terms of Trump presidency, because I believe a lot of financing will be curbed under this administration, which was freely being distributed to the allies. So that is how it looks like.
So, do you think the NRIs working in the software industry would be affected by his immigration plans?
Certainly, because once the illegals are rounded up and taken out, the next step is going to be legal migration. And since I do read a lot of body language and stuff like that, there was one post by Elon Musk where he quote tweeted the list of the richest citizens in America. Now, from all the communities, we already know that the Indian Americans are at the top in terms of the richest list. What is interesting in that quote tweet is Elon just wrote one word on that post. He said true. Now, as far as the body language which I know about Elon, if he genuinely appreciates something, he would write at least one or two paragraphs on it.
Yes.
So, as he has written just one word that is true, and the reading that I have done that they are going to target legal migration as well, it is very clear that it's going to happen.
Okay. So now I want to come to the manufacturing, India's manufacturing sector. As you said, since the US is going to decouple from China, do you think India can take advantage like Vietnam and Mexico to for they can like get US orders away from China to come to India?
So, the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister have been adequately clear about this, that we are not looking for cheaper exports. Okay.
Okay.
So, if you analyze the last 1.5 years of speeches given by the Prime Minister and Jaishankarji,
Mhm.
you realize that the press, which follows the Western thought process, keep on pushing China plus one, and even probably signaling the Western citizens that probably India will replace those cheaper exports which are coming from China.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think this administration, our government has been very clear on this, that we are not keen on cheaper exports like the Chinese did for the last 20, 30 years. So we are looking at a multipolarity where China plus 10 in manufacturing is something that we'll be comfortable with rather than China plus 1.
Yes.
Okay, because we want all other nations as well to pollute their climate, use their natural resources, make more hours of work from their labor, and produce some real product or service. Why should it be lopsided and only a few countries bear the brunt of doing manufacturing for the rest of the world? So let everyone take a little bit of burden of manufacturing home.
So, what sectors do you think India can attract from this decoupling? One is the electronic industry is definitely picking up. Like, do you see other high tech sectors? Since India is obviously not insisting on low end manufacturing.
I think semiconductor is something which the government is very keen on. Besides that, we are also looking for defense and space, because understand, in a multipolar world, each region is going to have its own power, who's going to take the responsibility of security of all the smaller partner countries in the sphere of influence. So, a joint production with tech transfer and our own indigenous method of defense research. That is something which we are keen on in the coming 20, 30 years. So I believe that there's going to be a lot of opportunities in aerospace and defense for the young kids and the next generation to work for research and innovation for our own and for the extended region, what we call as the Bharatiya Mahadvip, where even the partners in the West Asian regions like UAE and Saudi Arabia and over there in Southeast Asia, till that extent, many of the partners would be interested in arms and ammunition which we develop. We've got to understand that the Western currencies are going to lose uh, their purchasing power, which means a lot of global policing, which the United States is doing all alone, is not going to happen that way. So everybody will have to shoulder the capex burden of defense expenditure, which means that the partner countries have to work in collaboration and coordination with the Indian subcontinent. Okay. So a lot of defense and space manufacturing will also happen in Bharat in the next 20, 30 years. And we want our tech sector to diversify from that pure services sector domain or a backup office, that kind of coolie task that we were busy doing just to collect some dollars. So we come out of that and we actually work for our own, what we call as a Swadeshi technology movement.
So you see India like slowly becoming a high tech power like China.
Certainly, but well, if you compare ourselves to China, I think that would not be justified, because
China or the US
even the
as well.
Chinese, in a way, molded themselves to serve the West. in this blind race to collect the dollars. And that they have, as you can see, they have completely destroyed their birth rates in that process. So I don't think India would like to go down that path, but certainly sovereignty is required in the tech sector, especially when you see the big tech these days are playing the role of a state within a state, especially the kind of interference they do with the algorithm tweaks and stuff like that. There is cancel culture out there, and many problems in terms of you are not able to voice an independent opinion when in terms of big tech access to the citizens. Even the regulatory bodies are not able to, get them to work what the government would like them to fall in line in terms of the local regulations. So I do believe that there's a lot of scope for what we call as the India stack. Okay, so our own very own platforms, that kind of innovation, because I clearly see eventually we are going to deplatform from some of few of the Western tech giants for sure.
Hopefully, even I'm waiting for that day because, like you said, India is completely dominated by Western tech platforms. Hopefully, we can build our own indigenous platforms one day. So now I would like to know your opinion about the other currencies that can replace the dollar. Like you said, the dollar will eventually lose its value. So, what are the other currencies you see that can replace the dollar, and how can the rupee take advantage of this phenomenon?
Mm. So we are not looking for a single country reserve currency world. We are talking about multipolarity here. So there are many people who are still waiting for a BRICS common currency.
Mhm.
So a common currency is an additional expenditure and infrastructure spending that you need to do, and that you do only after you are aligned with what number of nations are going to participate with that formula. So until then, what BRICS currency is a multi-currency basket. Now, whether you name that index as a BRICS currency or not, that's doesn't matter at all because it already has begun the de-dollarization process. Now, what does de-dollarization mean? Are we saying dollar is going to vanish? No, America is not going to vanish from the planet. What we are saying with de-dollarization is, if I am to do my trade with Sri Lanka, why do I need US dollar in between? That
Yes.
is what we are saying. Okay, if Russia wants to trade with China, why does the US dollar have to come in between? This is what nations are saying. This is what BRICS Plus is saying. And it's very legitimate because you are not saying that you don't want to trade with United States in US dollar. Every country is okay trading with United States in US dollar. What de-dollarization means is with our partners, our neighborhood, why do we trade in your currency? Okay. So that is what the de-dollarization process is. So it is going to be multi-currency basket, which is going to replace the US dollar. And our foreign reserves were always in a multi-currency basket. So we, in that sense, technically speaking, we were already de-dollarized. Okay. And now the proportion of weightage of dollar in our reserves depends on how many countries are using US dollar. Okay. So as that shrinks, that percentage will automatically shrink more and more. We have ruble, we have euro, we have gold in the foreign reserves, but they are mentioned in US dollar terms. So the entire money is not in US dollar. This is something the viewers should know because there's a lot of misconception here that our reserves are entirely in US dollar. No, they are not. Okay.
So you were at the BRICS summit as well. So what was the mood at the summit in terms of the world slowly drifting to a multipolar world, and how do you view India-Russia relations in context of this developments?
Well, at the BRICS summit, you could clearly, uh, experience that, and the entire talk among all the experts and the media representatives that were there present in the summit was the focus was only India because the Western representatives wanted to know what India is here for, what is our policy, and why are we moving towards BRICS Plus. They were not able to come to terms with this decision that there could be 34 plus applications, formal applications for joining the grouping. Okay. Similarly, the Russian and the Chinese representatives, they too were eager to accept India and wholeheartedly uh, accept the terms and the strategy which the Indian delegation adopted for the expansion of the BRICS Plus. Because understand, without India's push, you won't have had so many applications, because the transparency factor of the Russian and the Chinese, because of the propaganda or whatever that you say, is very, very less among other nations of the world. So it is only because that India was pushing that we got this many number of applications. Now, very interesting to see that about 13 partner countries joined as a member of the larger BRICS Plus officially. And the tone of the Russian delegation, as you see President Putin also speaking, that has also changed to a Indian kind of a method of saying, "Hey, we are not de-dollar, we are not attacking the dollar. We just want to push our currencies. We don't want. We are not saying that SWIFT should not exist. We are making our own payment mechanism." So I think they have taken the Jay Shankar style of answering stuff, because I think over a period of time, even the Russians realize that if you want more and more smaller nations to join the BRICS Plus grouping, you require um, a tone where they don't feel threatened that you are trying to attack the US dollar and there are going to be some consequences for them just because they have joined the BRICS Plus grouping. Because this is contradictory to the objective of the BRICS core members, that we want the membership expanded just so that these members, when they go to multilateral forums, they would have even more weightage than they used to have previously. So that's just opposite to what the West would like to portray, that these people are going against the international trade or globalization, which is already established. Small nations don't want to experience that kind of a dilemma or a gray area where they feel that they could be attacked. So I think that this was a very wise move from President Putin and the Russian delegation, that they toned down and said that we are just making our currency and our payment mechanism more stronger, rather than saying that we want to cancel out US dollar or SWIFT.
Agree. I think when we move towards a multipolar world, we need more forums such as the BRICS